Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get you, you know, like how they had Vanta Black, which is like the blackest black. They apparently have a new blackest black called Musa Black. I want to get you a t-shirt out of Musa Black.
I haven't even heard of the first one. How do you get like a truer black than pure black though? Like the FFFF or the 000, whatever it is.
I think it has to do with like reflectivity in the material used. So like Vanta Black and Musa Black have like progressively less light reflected off of them.
Okay.
I don't know. I watched a YouTube video today of some dude who like painted a small room in Musa Black, and then he stood in it, and it legitimately looked like he was just much smaller than when he was closer to the camera. You couldn't see any of the angles or anything. Even when he turned the light on inside the room, it was pretty wild.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So if we like removed the sun and then we had that purest black, would that be the purest real world black?
No, because we still get light from stars and like from bioluminescence and stuff.
Dude. Okay, so I was just standing outside, kind of just vibing out, looking up into the sky, and I had this app on my phone. I forget what it's called, but it's an AR thing. So you point your phone up at the sky and it shows you like the constellations, and it'll essentially annotate all the stars you're looking at. And there was one, and it was just like Mars. And then I was just staring at it, and it was like, wow, it's like kind of brighter, a little reddish. If you like really look at it, it's kind of orangish. Mm-hmm. That's fucking Mars. And I just like stared at it for about a minute, and I kind of get this, like, if this were a video game,
yeah.
If the whole life thing was a video game, that would be like the cool challenge. You know how in trailers or in old presentations it'd be like, oh, if you see that mountain over there, you can go over there. Well, it's like, I'm here, like really here, and that like Mars is right there. You know what I mean? That shit's crazy. Like, I get why Elon Musk is like, no, we can get there. Like, we just need to do the stuff to get there. But it's like right there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know, man.
The even wilder thing was, I think like 2 weeks ago, you could see Jupiter and Saturn like literally like line up for a bit. Like they literally like cross paths in our view.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have like a very general interest in space, in the sense that like I'm aware of it and I know that there are planets. You know what I mean? But I just like there's just something about like the aesthetic of space, I guess, that I would say, which is kind of like really intriguing. Mm-hmm. And I kind of have that thing, like I'll wear a NASA t-shirt. I don't know shit about space. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. But I want to get more into it. Like, I've been wanting to get a telescope for a while, and I was like, I'm not gonna get a telescope because I'm not gonna really use a telescope, and then I'm gonna be that guy with a fucking telescope like in my closet. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool. I've never been that interested in space, honestly.
How are you not interested in space? Okay. Oh, okay. Me and Zenobia were just talking about this. Would you rather have us, like, as a country or a globe, or whatever, would you rather have us explore everything currently, like, in the Milky Way, or explore everything in our oceans?
You know, I have a really strong bias for marine biology.
I know.
So this is...
Zenobia said ocean.
Okay, personally, I would love to, like, me, Yazeed, would love to explore the ocean. Mm-hmm. But I think, like, exploring space is better for our species. So I'll go with space here.
Yeah, what if we find some technology on another planet that helps us better explore our own ocean, you know? That's the real...
I doubt we'll find technology out there.
What if we did? What if we went out to, I don't know, name a planet. Uranus, that's all gas. Mars.
Europa.
Mars.
Go to Europa. That one has literal water on it.
Is that a noob? Is that in the Milky Way?
Yeah, it's one of the moons of Jupiter. It has like an outer layer of ice, and underneath it has liquid ocean.
I remember reading about that relatively recently.
Mm-hmm. And they're pretty sure there's bacteria under there. Get hype.
Ooh, that's life.
Aliens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely also want to explore space, but I think this was the argument that Synovia gave, which is pretty compelling, which is that we live on Earth. We should explore Earth, which you can't really.
That is true. I don't know. I personally, like, I think I would enjoy exploring the ocean more than I would enjoy exploring space, because exploring space is basically going from one lifeless rock, then going through a very vast vacuum, then going to another lifeless rock. Whereas exploring space, like being underwater and occasionally seeing a big thing, and then a bunch of times looking out into the water and not realizing there's millions of little things in that water. I don't know.
You're confirming it's a lifeless rock, though. That's the important work that needs to be done. Also, the stuff that lives underwater, like deep underwater, is terrifying. At least what, like, the weirdo Synovia was looking at this thing of like deep water fish and the ones that like develop their own lights and shit on their heads. Mm-hmm. This stuff looks terrifying, and that's the stuff that we know about, and the majority is stuff that we don't know about. Like, true horror probably lives under the ocean.
I mean, there's like a thing called something gigantism, where it's basically like at like a certain pressure, it's more valuable to be very large so that you can absorb the amount of pressure on you, and to be like very small. So you'll generally see like some pretty large things down there. But a lot of this stuff down there is like really slow moving, like in comparison, because the water is so dense and heavy that they can't really like power through, if that makes sense. But occasionally you run into like a whale or something down there.
What is the thing that made you like the whole whatever the word is for it? What's the word thing that you were going to study?
Ichthyology of fish? Like marine biology?
Yes, marine biology. What is the initial thing that got you into that? Like, you live in the desert. You grew up in the desert.
It's kind of hard to pinpoint what exactly made me want to do it. I like the ocean more than I like a lot of things. And I enjoy just how, like, chill it is. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but when you're by the ocean, it's very hard to be upset. And I feel like studying fish that live in the ocean is kind of crazy. Also, it I think goes back to like a thing that I didn't realize I had at the, like, I didn't realize like this was a part of my core beliefs at the time, or maybe it's developed from there, but I think there's something to be like going back to where life originated is the ocean. It's like going and studying what's in the ocean is really like studying what the fundamentals of life are, in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can actually more easily pinpoint why I stopped wanting to do marine biology professionally than why I wanted to do it professionally.
That's when you realized there was no money in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I have this thing often where I think about what I majored in school, and it's like I literally made that decision just sitting on the floor with my computer, and there's like a drop down. It's like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life, probably? It's like all this stuff. And I think I mentioned this before, but I wanted to be in psychology. And I kind of had the same thing where I was like, oh, I couldn't get paid from that. So I'm just going to pick computer science because I like video games. That was like
that unironically is why I did the same thing. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty good with computers.
Yeah. And then we had that initial orientation stuff for like the computer science people. And you can tell that the recruiter was just like, you guys are a bunch of nerds and you don't understand what this is yet. Because she kept talking about how hard the math was going to be and how all of us liked video games. So it seemed like that was the thing for everybody. And at the end of it, a lot of those people were not graduating with us. So I don't know.
I remember like 127A, our lab. I don't think anyone from my original lab was in the rest of computer science. I think a lot of them stopped doing computer science.
It's just so hard, and I think it's taught so poorly. Like, it was taught so poorly to us. Like, I cried with frustration from that stuff just because.
Are you telling me it's just recursion?
Yeah, man. Yeah, things that you feel like, or at least I didn't feel like I understood. So I would just be pulling my hair out, thinking like, oh, while Yazeed's just kind of carrying me through these assignments, and I don't understand anything. And eventually I'm going to fail out of this shit and be homeless. Anyway, I'm here in the meantime. That was basically my plan for 2 years. Yeah.
I don't know. Computer science is very difficult. If I could go back and do it over again, I would, though. I think I would do things differently. Having gone through college.
You said you don't think you would do things differently?
I would want to do things. If I was forced to do things over again, I would change things that I did. But I'm not going to willingly, like, if somebody held out, like, a magic wand and they're like, you can go back to the start of college and redo it, I'm not going to be like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And no, I'm for sure glad I did it. Like, I don't think I would have wanted to do anything else. But it's kind of weird, too, because I feel like a lot of me as a person kind of... like developed after high school. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of refined who I am, and I'm you know what I mean? So a lot of that I think came from what I do, which is the whole programming thing. So if I had gone into something else, I have a hard time imagining what I would be like, because I feel like this is still me from high school. But if I had gone into psychology, would I just be like a weirdo version of me from high school? You know what I mean?
I think about that too. If I had done brain biology, I would never even gone to the U of A. I would have gone to the University of Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's an island.
Yeah, I would have gone there to study marine biology. I got accepted there, too.
Nice. So, what made you... Okay, well, besides money, though, I mean, there had to have been something. Like, oh, it would suck being away from my family, or, oh, it would... None of that?
Nah, literally, it was like... I was like, okay, if I did marine biology, there's like a 95% chance my whole life is going to be spent studying coral, which I don't find very interesting. Like, coral itself isn't interesting to me. It's like the stuff that lives in coral is interesting to me. Mm. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I would make not great money doing that. Or I could do computer science, make money, and do marine biology on the side. Because at that time in my life, I was like...
on the side.
I was like, it'll all work out.
Yeah.
So that was like my thought process.
So do you think that after you are kind of done with computer science work, you will try to get into something? Like, what is retired Yazeed doing? Tech retired Yazeed.
Tech retired Yazeed is backpacking through the Alps or... Or I just want to travel the world and see as much as I can before I croak.
Well, I'm saying, okay, do you think you'll be in tech at 50?
I don't want to be in tech in 10 more years.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to be close to croaking even at 37, even with your insane idea that death at 60 is good.
I have 27 more years to go, okay? No, okay, my plan, let me tell you my plan, and I know it's not realistic, but I have to have dreams, all right? So my plan is that I'm going to do a paramedics course from Pima, right? Now, the paramedics course from Pima gives you an associate's degree, and you do 4 semesters, 2 of chemistry, 2 of bio. Interestingly, those are the same minimum requirements to take the MCAT. So 2 years of doing paramedic school, and then I become search and rescue certified, because you can become search and rescue tech after you have a paramedics degree. Okay. Now, 2 years of that, at the same time I start shadowing doctors and, like, you know, preparing myself and studying. And then I take the MCAT, get accepted into some school, go to medical school and become a doctor. That's, I think, where I want to go.
And then by that point, you're 59 and you're like, shit, gotta die in 6 years according to my own rules.
No. So 2 years of paramedic school, 2 years of study and paramedic stuff, and, you know, and then 4 years of doctor school. So that's 8 years, right? So in 10 years, in theory, I should be 2 years of being a doctor. In theory.
Okay. In theory. Okay. Well, I support you on your quest.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do after tech, but I also don't think I want to be in tech in 10 years.
No?
It just doesn't seem like a... No, it's like... I was trying to think of a way to be, like, not an asshole about it, but the way I see it is that, like, programming and all this stuff that I enjoy doing is kind of, like, artistic in a way. I'm not saying that I am an artiste. I'm saying that the actual practice of creating things, building things is artistic in a way. It's like expressive of
I'm big on that. That's very true.
Yeah. Even if you're building something that's just like pure, logic or whatever, the way that you build it is still artistic in a way. Anyway, I like that whole part of it. And I think just working and making that a job is like kind of killing the part of it that makes it fun and is just like executing things. Changing business requirements, changing whatever. And it's like, that's the reality of pretty much any job where you build stuff, but I don't like that. I don't know. I'm kind of having that realization recently.
Become a doctor with me. We can take paramedic night school together.
Become a doctor with me. It's easy.
I mean, listen, it's easier if you have a study buddy. If you think about it, would either of us have gotten through college if we didn't have each other? I don't think I could have if I didn't have you.
I for sure would have had to switch majors my first couple of years.
I would have had to switch majors my last 2 years. You carried me in the last 2 years. So, an offer is available. If you want to, work 8 hours, then take 9 classes with me and study.
It's a hard pivot on the podcast content. We're just talking about our night school and how exhausted we are.
I think it's going to be hell for me, but I'd rather, for me, it's like, sometimes when you have like a set worldview almost, and you realize like what you're doing doesn't vibe with that worldview anymore. If my worldview is that the most important things are the general health and general education of people to make a better society, then me doing tech isn't helping either of those things. So
doing tech is like a very general thing, though. I mean, a specific application of tech could definitely help that. I mean, if that's your skill set,
Yeah, but that's not my skill set is the problem. Clearly my skill set is lacking.
I don't know. I think that's another thing too. A lot of people have good intentions and then they kind of want to get into an industry, and then they get into an industry and then they kind of just like stop caring about that other thing that they wanted to do, and it's like, oh, this is a job, so I'm gonna do this job. And then you're like 50. You're like, oh fuck, that thing I liked. Oh shit. Well, anyway. So I think in a perfect world, just like there's less big, I don't know, just big bullshit jobs and whatever, and more kind of interesting, smaller, cool shit people can do. You know what I mean? I sound just like a dumbass hippie, but I kind of just, I'm in that point where I'm just like, me corporations, man.
Yeah, break up the monopolies, eat the rich. That's what I'm all about, Joseph. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's not quite what I'm saying, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
I agree.
This whole past week has been like a weird fucking just.
This week has been like hellacious. Literally since the Lattice podcast, seems like the world set itself on fire.
My man just said Latticed podcast and didn't correct himself. That's how fucked up the world is this moment,
Oh shit.
No, yeah, it's just yeah, man, I don't know. It was like the day after, it was like Thursday or whatever. And that morning I had my stand-up meeting and everybody was just talking about what they did yesterday. And it was like, man, fuck, I didn't do anything yesterday. The news was on, fucking whatever. I can't focus on anything. It's just, that's what it's been for a while. But and so I think that's just kind of affecting my head too, of being like, fuck, what's going on? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Also, if you die by 60, it's not so bad. You don't have that much time. You get to, enjoy everything to the fullest, or die trying, literally.
I've been trying to give like a few minutes every day to just like be in the moment, live to the fullest, but I'm still not trying to die at 60. I would rather be.
That's respectable. Listen, I don't know very many people who have my approach. I don't know. Listen, I don't know anyone else who's like, yeah, dying at 60 sounds fine.
Well, my whole thing with it is that it's an arbitrary number. You're just coming up with 60, even though it doesn't, like 60 doesn't really mean anything. You can be 30 and feel like you do right now, or you can be how old you are right now or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, who fucking doesn't matter? It's like, is your life complete? That's the whole thing. You got to have a full character arc before you die.
That's true. I don't know. I think I need a set goal, right? Like if I say at 60 I plan on dying, then that means I need to fit as much in as I can until 60. Because if I'm just like, I'll finish it all eventually, then that eventually will never come for me. I'm not the kind of person who just will accomplish things unless I have like a set goal, and then I'll start accomplishing things.
But your goal is to have goals. That's not a goal. Like, you got to come up with goals.
I do have goals.
No. I know you have goals, but if you're saying that your goal is die at 60, so that'll make you do the things, your actual goal is the things, and then that will kind of tell you when you can die. I guess you're giving it a timeline to say that you need to do these things by a certain date, but it just seems grim. Like, just do things. Because what if that list changes?
Then read the list changes.
But trying to plan out something that you cannot plan is like a fool's errand, you know?
I don't plan out that far in advance. I look at like maybe 10 years, maybe. 10 years is the longest I've ever planned out. Normally, it was 4 years in school because, you know, school is about 4 years in chunks.
Right.
And now it's just like, I didn't have a plan for a while. Now I have a plan.
Yeah. I get that too. The whole chunk thing. I think it's like been 4.5 years since my last major chunk. So I'm kind of also in that thing of like, what's my next chunk? It's hard, like, when you realize that you have to just like live your life, you know? It's all up to you and shit. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're sitting alone and you're just like, what am I actually doing?
Yeah.
I'm getting up in the morning and repeating the same weird, like, ritual every day.
Yeah. Rewatching The Office for the 6th time. I'm just like, man, maybe I should.
Oh, shit. I need to add one more thing.
No problem, boss.
All right.
You may have noticed I'm standing up.
I did, yes. But I also read your notes and you have standing desks, so I was like, I put those two together.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure which one of these note loads I should blow on the pre-show, you know what I mean? Because I was thinking I wouldn't have anything to say, but I mean, we've had a discussion, you know what I mean? We've had a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to blow a note load.
I don't think so. I don't think this podcast is going to be as long as last week, so let's go with that.
Brother, look at my Homegames notes. Are you fucking serious?
It looks like it's the same length, but I also feel like we will touch on some things more than last time. And also we've had time to like look through and think on your list.
Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know. Ugh. I don't know. It's what a fucking start to this year though, huh? Like, shit, buddy.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, I don't know, it's beyond the This Is Fine dog at this point, but it's really just an extreme version of the This Is Fine dog. Like, you know the Wojak memes where it's just like the white kind of bald, wrinkly, foreheaded dude with the face, and there's just different versions of it?
Yeah.
To the point where it's like fully grayed out and the eyes are gone. It's kind of just like the progression like that of the This Is Fine dog.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince my family. I told my mom and my uncle this. I was like, listen, we sell everything we own, all right? And we take all that money and we buy a sheep farm in New Zealand and we go and we raise sheep. They were like, that's not the worst idea you've ever had, but we're probably not going to be able to successfully raise sheep. None of us know how to raise sheep. And I was like, yeah, but I have a dog, so, you know.
It's basically already there.
I don't know anything about raising sheep, but it sounds like it's okay. That's a job that sounds like it's okay. Year round sounds okay. You're always like minimally stressed out.
I guess. I mean, wouldn't you always be worried about your sheep dying?
That's why I get the dog.
Yeah, but your dog's not going to be perfect.
Which is not perfect. But, like, there's less predators in New Zealand. There's mostly other sheep in New Zealand and birds.
What are the gun laws in New Zealand?
You're allowed to have hunting rifles there.
what defines a hunting rifle? Anyway, would you be like just sitting out on your farm all day, just looking for shit and shooting like wolves and stuff? Is that your life?
They don't even have wolves there, dude.
What's the predator?
They don't have any. I'm telling you, they don't have any predators in New Zealand.
That can't be true, though.
Yeah, they didn't have any mammals in New Zealand before we got there. It was all lizards and birds.
I don't know much about the culture or history of New Zealand.
New Zealand had their largest herbivore before people got there was the great moa, which was like the giant moa, which is like basically like a big ostrich thing. And then there was a giant eagle that ate those, and that was the super predator, Hayes eagle. And that was like it. That's like the top level of the food chain. It's like everything native in New Zealand is like birds or like a lizard. And they don't even have snakes there. They don't have rabies there. It's like it's totally different. They actually have a problem.
They don't have COVID there.
They don't have COVID there either. No, they actually have a problem where like because like the English wanted to turn it into like a hunting preserve and they just released deer onto the island. There's so many deer. There's no law against how many deer you can kill because they're an invasive species. So you can just go out and hunt deer as many as you want.
Nice.
You don't have to eat them. You can just hunt deer. Not that I'm recommending people just try to wipe out a non-invasive species, but deer in New Zealand are a wrecking things, so it's recommended to hunt deer there. So that's why their gun laws allow you to go hunting.
Yeah, I got nothing. I was gonna say something and then I forgot. Oh, speaking of deer hunting,
You can also sell your house and move with us, you know.
Absolutely
you have a dog too. All right, we have 2 dogs. That'd be pretty good for the sheep, I hear.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna try to stick it out, see what happens. Speaking of deer hunting, I was looking through my Steam library this weekend, kind of just trying to clean out some of the games because my hard drives were full. Everything was red in the Windows Explorer of all my hard drives.
How do you have this much information stored? Are you subscribed to the Data Hoarder subreddit? Because you're a key member there.
I am not on Reddit much.
Hey,
no.
my hero.
But fuck. I had like 700 games installed, and I had to uninstall, or I didn't have to uninstall. I uninstalled 300 of them. But I was going through my list, and one of them was The Hunter, that bullshit online multiplayer hunting game that we played a long time ago with the microtransactions. And I couldn't make myself uninstall it, and I think it's because I want to play and enjoy a deer hunting game. I don't know if it's that one that I want to play, but that's basically the only modern one of those. So I want to give it a shot still. I told you I paid for it, right? Like I bought the.
You did.
Yeah, because at first, it's kind of genius the way that they did it, where it's like they let you play the game in the free version, and then when you actually shoot an animal, it's like you gotta pay for that. Like you're about to, you know what I mean? Like it actually is everything except for the part where you finish it. So it's like the perfect timing to introduce that microtransaction. You're already fully invested, as invested as you could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you already tried to pull the trigger.
Yeah, like you're playing the game, and it's saying, okay, you're here, you're in the game. Just pay me $10. And if you take a step back, it's really crazy that it's like $10 to kill turkeys, $10 to kill whatever. But I mean, apparently it worked. I mean, they made it to this point. I'm assuming they're successful because they're still running the game.
Yeah, that's also true that they're kind of the only one left. Like, there's not a lot of modern versions of that.
Yeah, I mean, the ones my mom and I used to play, the Cabela's deer hunting games that were really fun. You would just, sit in a tree and then call a deer and then wait 10 minutes and then shoot it. And that was the whole game. But it was a lot of fun. And then they had the Dangerous Hunts ones, which were like a FPS game. It was like shooting a bunch of. It was basically like you're being attacked by animals, and it was a little bit more arcadey. And so you would kind of just blow animals away. And then there was one later that was basically like Call of Duty, but with bears, and it was really fucking stupid. Like you could aim down sights and just like fully automatic bears. You know what I mean? It was stupid as shit. So they kind of lost what made those games cool. They kind of just became Call of Duty, but. I wish they would make more stuff like that. Single player though, I don't like the multiplayer. I don't care about multiplayer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't tried any of the Cabela's games aside from their like Bass Pro Hunter game where you go fishing. Yeah. And I was so young, it was so boring to go fishing, and I didn't read any of the things. So I was like throwing some lure out, and nothing was catching it.
Yeah.
I
just had that experience. I just had that experience a few months ago. I played that game, the Sega Bass Pro Fishing, the Dreamcast game. It's on Steam in like some retro collection or whatever, and I was playing it, and I did the same shit, just skipping through all the tutorials. Like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. I'll hit A when it's green or whatever. Nope, I had no fucking idea what was going on.
Because every other game that's just like throws fishing in, it's like you cast your rod, like something happens, and you just gotta like do an action. It's like, boom, you did fishing. But the actual fishing game's like, pick your lure, cast the correct distance, drag it back in slowly, but not too slowly. And then you gotta like pull it, and then you gotta like, da-da. Anyway.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a fishing game. I would expect it to be more than just like press the button. You know what I mean?
My question is, what is the market for fishing games? Who's buying fishing games? Is it people who like to fish? Or is it people who don't like to fish that want to fish? Or like, who do you think is buying fishing games?
Like a modern fishing game or Sega Bass Pro? Whatever?
I mean, the old one, it's probably nostalgia because that game came out and I imagine a lot of kids played it.
But why? Right? Because they would have been the people playing a fishing game when it came out. It would have been the valid question. Why are you buying a fishing game?
I was a kid and that's what my dad had.
I don't know. I don't know what the modern fishing games are like. But I imagine it would be people who are interested just in the general thing. To me, fishing is fun because it's kind of like meditative. You're just out there waiting for a fish to bite, and that could be forever. So you're just drinking Budweiser by yourself on a boat or whatever. That sounds fucking awesome. But what was I gonna say? Oh, but I don't know why people would do that. I guess because maybe if you look at it like you look at Dark Souls, where it's just pure mechanics, maybe there's something good and interesting and fun about the kind of pairing up the right rod or whatever with the right lure with the right whatever to make sure, you know, that you get the best fish. Like if that's the game, I'm sure they have to be interesting at a certain point mechanically. Otherwise, it's just like, why aren't you watching fishing? You know?
Well, I don't see any more of those games, so I'm actually curious if there was anything to them or if it was just like the novelty of going fishing in a video game.
I'm sure fishing games exist. I don't really like. I haven't really known what big games have come out for the past couple of years. Like I know like the big ones, obviously, but I think because there's less of a disc-based focus, and I'm not going to GameStop every week to pick up my pre-order, and then they're telling me about the next pre-order. Like I don't know what games are really coming out. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like shit happens, and there's so much middle tier stuff that comes out on Steam that kind of looks like a big game, but it might have just been 10 guys making this thing or whatever. So I don't really know what games are coming out. I don't know when the last time a major fishing game came out.
I don't either. I also wonder if I think it would have to show up on Steam. I don't know though. Because a lot of games have like a fishing mechanic. Like even Breath of the Wild had a fishing mechanic, I think.
Hades has a fishing mechanic. I didn't even realize that until after I finished the first run of it. It's pretty simple, though. It's exactly what we were talking about. You go over, you press A, the controller vibrates, you hit A again or whatever. I also did a really shit job of explaining Hades last week. It's an action game.
Listen, I still haven't played it. I haven't played a video game since last week.
Yeah, I've played Gears, a little bit of Gears, but I haven't really played and focused on a video game in a while.
Yeah. Video games are kind of garbo. After I beat Cyberpunk, I literally don't have a game that I was like excited to play, and now I'm just kind of stuck in a rut almost of like the games I either have already played or don't really want to play.
Yeah.
And then I bought Age of Empires 3, and I tried playing that, and I was like, I don't remember this game at all. And I looked into it, and it's because I never played it. I played Age of Empires 1 and 2, and 3 is not great.
Did you ever play Commandos? It was like a point and click, not point and click. What is the word for it? Basically, you control 3 guys and you kill people from like a top-down perspective. It's kind of like a strategy game.
Isometric? Like XCOM.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know about the original XCOM. Maybe it is kind of like XCOM. Yeah,
I've played XCOM.
Weird. I guess it's like a very vague memory because it was on a disc. Like it was a demo on a disc for another game I was playing, like a CD-ROM back a long time ago on the computer, and it was just one mission of Commandos, and there's these three dudes, and I think they're British, and they have these funny accents, and there's this really shitty dialogue that plays when they do things. So it's like when you tell them to go somewhere, they're like, "Got it, boss. All right, boss. Got it, boss." Like they'll just repeat the same shit, and it's really funny. And it always stuck with me. So then when I saw they were on Steam, I just bought the game off of the recognition of that demo. I tried to play it. I have no fucking idea what's going on, so I didn't play it. But I want to get into Commandos. It's super old, and I don't know whatever. But there's 3 of them, so I guess people like them.
I have never even heard of that game.
Yeah.
I played XCOM and I was like, this game's okay. But I don't know if that's really like my style of game. I kind of wish there was like another, what was it, Socom? I don't know if I remember that game.
Socom, the third-person shooter?
Yeah.
I didn't know you liked that game.
Yeah, I played it when it first came out. I like tactical games.
That's a PlayStation game, though. I didn't know you were a PlayStation person.
Mm-hmm. I had a PS1 and 2, and an Xbox One and a 360. Not an Xbox One. The original Xbox and the 360. And that was like, and then, that was the last like consoles that I could really play.
Yeah.
Because my wrists weren't completely donked by then. It was like, it was only later. And now, like, honestly, I think I've done enough. Like, I do enough other stuff that I could probably play consoles again, but it would only be for like an hour. And I hate playing video games where it's like, oh, you play for an hour and then you have to be done for the day. It's like,
right.
What if I'm really into it?
Yeah. Or you could be like me and you can't commit yourself to anything, so you only play games like 20-minute chunks, and you're like, oh, I'll come back to this. So technically, you could get an hour in a day like that. I have like 400 games where I've played 5 minutes on Steam. It's pretty stupid. Where I'm like, oh, I could see this being interesting. Then I turn it off. And
would it help if we played the games together?
What do you mean together?
Like, what if
a lot of them are just single player?
What if I started getting the same games as you, and we just play them for a week, and then we talk about it on the podcast?
That would be pretty fun. But I think a lot of it would just be really shitty games that we really couldn't get a lot out of.
There's podcasts where they just watch the same movie every day for a whole year or something.
Yeah,
every week for a whole year.
We don't need to be that, you know?
Well, it wouldn't be that. We just, cycle through garbage games. What if we found a hidden gem? Unironic hidden gem. Like a gem that no one else played.
Could happen. Yeah, I don't know. There's one game I started playing called Bendy and the Ink Machine. Like, this was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And it actually caught my attention because it's one of those games where I was going through and I was like, what the fuck is this? I've never heard of this. I'll give it 5 minutes. And then if it's good 5 minutes in, I'll give it 10 minutes. And then pretty much every game doesn't make it past 10 minutes because I'm like, oh, I'll come back to it. But Bendy and the Ink Machine is a first-person horror game. And it's like an interesting story. You're going and investigating this dude who worked at an animation studio, and apparently he like lost his shit, and there's a bunch of spooky stuff happening at the animation studio, and the character's name is Bendy, and he's like a little black ink monster thing, and he's like the villain. And it's like a mystery horror thing, and I was like, oh, this is really impressive. And I have no idea where this came from. I have no idea why it's in my library. But this is like super cool. So we would have maybe like 1 in 20 that are like that, but the other ones would be like, so this game doesn't work on Windows 10.
I think that's fine. You know what game I actually do want to play? Do you remember or do you know about the Jurassic Park game?
The management one? Like the...
No. The first person one from like the 90s.
No.
Okay, so there was a Jurassic Park game that is considered like a really trash game, but had a bunch of revolutionary things in it.
Okay.
So I kind of want to play it.
What are some of the things that it introduced?
It introduced the idea that when two separate objects make a connection, it makes a unique sound. So they literally have like, that's like the first time that you'd have like a metal pipe hitting like a wooden plank, and that makes a different sound than the metal pipe hitting a different metal pipe, or the wooden plank hitting something else. And it's like that's like they're like one of the first people to do that.
Got it. That's cool.
But I heard the shooting in there is horrific, and honestly, like a bunch of other stuff is also bad about that game.
Is that like a PlayStation game?
Nintendo I think 64? It's only on computer. This is before like consoles could run something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I'll try to find it. There's a guy on YouTube who does like a whole playthrough, and he talks like the history of the game and stuff.
Yeah. And
he's like, you were watching me play this game, and I'm sure it looks like it's fine, but like if you try to play this game, it's awful. Because they didn't do it where like the way that they made the shooting is that you can tilt your wrist and like aim up and down, or you can move your arm up and down, left and right. And so when you're shooting, you can like accidentally like angle it too far and miss. And there's not really a targeting reticle. So like you have to like really aim at stuff.
That's cool though. I think people don't try stuff like that probably because it'll be bad. And
it people apparently is like awful.
But that's kind of cool where they were like, oh, aiming a gun isn't easy. Like we should make it so you have to have like finesse on the thing, and we should try to incorporate that into our system in the game. Like try to make it, you know what I mean? Instead of like, oh well, you do this one to aim, and then you put the dot on the guy, and then you hit this one. You know, that's every game.
I agree. Or they could make ADS, like aiming down the sights, more similar to real life aiming down the sights, where sometimes you mess up.
Well, because you have to, like, in VR games, that's a thing, because you can aim down sights, but you have to line up the back of everything with the sight. Like, there's actually a balance thing there, and there's on top of just aiming the thing. Like, in VR games, it's super, it reminds you that an FPS game typically, like, abstracts away a lot of the kind of mechanics of what that is, you know what I mean? Just to make it more Call of Duty-y.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to try that game because it looks interesting on from 1,000 feet up looking down on the game. It looks interesting. I'm sure playing that game would be the most frustrating thing I've done in a while.
Well, yeah, it'll probably be like a 5 minutes. Like, oh, I get it. I'll never touch that again.
I want to play it because I'm pretty sure, like I've seen how the game ends, and there's like a chase scene with a Jeep and a T-Rex somewhere in the middle, and I remember that from when I was a kid. So I don't know if as a kid I just powered my way through to that point, or if I watched somebody else play it, but. Somewhere along the way, I saw that scene, and it haunted me for a long time. It showed up in my nightmares occasionally as a reoccurring nightmare. I'm in the Jeep being chased by the T-Rex.
Would you get that on GOG or something like that?
I have no idea where I would get it. I think that's one of those games where you have to like literally like go through and find some like archived emulator, because I don't think it runs on anything close to Windows 10. Like, I think I'd have to find, like, a Windows 93 or something, or 96 or whatever.
Neither of those exist, but I get what you're saying.
I don't remember what it is. What is the version before 2000?
98?
98, there we go.
But I think that's the thing with Windows, is that you can run, like, a legacy mode for pretty much every version of Windows ever.
Oh, interesting. I'll check it out then. I have to find the game. I also don't know if I'm really willing to commit that much of my life to playing a game that's older than I am, probably.
Yeah. That'll be our new Home Games channel. It's just you playing games at home, you know? It's a twist on the brand.